and Money on UFM 7:30. This is the part I love about these guys. NMG benefits. Employers can play a critical role in easing employees into the new year. I mean, already that is just a discussion you want to have. Many employees, we've returned to work after the holiday break. However, for some, the transition back is not as smooth as you would have hoped. I mean, there was a recent global study revealing that 87% of workers actually dread returning to the office after the break, citing feelings of anxiety that go beyond the typical post-vacation blues. You always say to people, oh, let me go back to kind regards. We've all been there. From catching up on admin to tackling overwhelming inboxes and so forth. Well, let's speak to Gary Feldman, who is the executive head of healthcare consulting at NMG Benefits, about the role that employers can play into easing us into the new year. Gary, a pleasure chatting to you, and welcome to Life and Money.
Thank you, Pat, and good evening to you and good evening to your listeners.
I hope your festive season was a safe one.
Yes, thanks, Pat. We're back, as I say, back in the trenches, and everything's good, thank you.
That's the way to go. Just been talking about how you pointing out that many employees, obviously, it's a well-known fact, we experience significant anxiety when returning to work after the break. And, what role you think and how can, employers help to ease us back into the trenches, as you say?
Yeah, Pat, I think as the saying goes, traditionally January is January. Everybody's worried about getting back to work, getting back on track with their finances, and I think it's an important time just to take stock. So firstly, that starts with you as an individual, but most importantly is also the employer. As you mentioned, 87% of the people, of workers, dread going back to work, and ultimately you look at that and you transfer that to the cost of absenteeism, and Stats South Africa have said that absenteeism costs in the workplace costs between 12 and 16 billion rand a year, and that's sick leave included. So it's not just stress and anxiety related stuff, it's sick leave as well. But ultimately, I think it's an important point that, and I've said it before, is that employers have got a role to play to assist the employee as well, because as you quite rightly said, people are worried coming back to work. They got to get back into a routine. They have had freedom. They don't have to be anywhere at 7:30 or 8 o'clock when work starts. And they can have their afternoon nap, which now all disappears all of a sudden, and it's back 8 to 5. And ultimately, they are stressed about that. So the main causes now, specifically coming back to work, is stress about getting your children sorted. We know that there's a shortage of schooling. People are worried where they're going to put their kids in school. And so employers can assist in guarding their employees. And ultimately, the big point here is employer assistance program can help. And I think what we've seen and where we have advised and consulted to clients, and corporate clients specifically, is assisting people. And we've got programs that can assist people with things like debt reconciliation. A lot of people run up a lot of debt over the festive season as well. And now you've got to say, right, how can I come back on track with my finances? And so that's where you need to look at your debt reconciliation, and etc. So I think there are a number of interventions that employers can assist these with, and there are companies that assist with debt reconciliation. So they'll look at your personal situation as an employee. They'll look at your pay slip. They'll look at all the deductions. They'll look at your bank statement. Look at all the...
We're losing you there. We're losing you there a bit, Gary. Yeah. Okay, we were losing you there for a bit there. The network was not a good one. So if I run a company and I need this program, I can come to NMG Benefits, and you guys will design this employee assistance program. Am I correct?
Absolutely, Pat. I think that's an important point. Because the cost to the company is loss of productivity. It puts stress on other team members, other workers. They've got to take care of your work if you're absent. They have to pick up the slack. So I think it's really important that employees approach the employer. You mustn't be scared of approaching the employer if you are struggling emotionally, struggling with stress, struggling with debt. and your employers can then help you via organizations like us who are healthcare consultants that can assist the employers and employees ultimately.
And in your experience, what additional measures beyond, this employee assistance program, can be implemented to help adjust, the workforce adjust into the new year? I mean, for instance, I can imagine interventions like providing time-sensitive priorities and the sort.
Absolutely, Pat. It's really educating people to cope with these different elements of stress. I mean, education to the employee is the critical part. Assisting, holding the employee's hand, because as you quite rightly said in the introduction, I mean, people have got to get back into routine. They feel overwhelmed. They're feeling pressurized, and all of a sudden, it's just holding their hand. And it's not only at a junior level; it's across the board. I've seen it at executive levels as well, where executives are struggling to get back into the routine.
Yeah.
You're just not in that routine. And I think that is where the employer needs to assist employees, and this is where employee assistance programs and education around all these elements is critically important.
And just finally, Gary, as we start the year with fresh goals and resolutions, I mean, what are some of the key strategies that employees can implement to maintain a healthy work-life balance, to avoid stress-related issues that may arise throughout the year?
Well, I think that's the most important point. Is number one, get back into a budget. So you've got to budget your time, work-life balance, your finances. Don't overextend yourself. You might have overextended yourself over the festive season, but get back into routine as far as that's concerned, because that alleviates stress as well. Try and pay off all your debt as soon as possible, and make sure that you don't overcommit. And then make sure that you look after your job, because jobs are scarce, so you don't want to compromise that. Don't take advantage of your sick leave, because you might need your sick leave later on in the year for an actual illness that you might have developed. Comes wintertime, flu, etc. comes around, then you need sick leave for actual illnesses. So those are the key things that employees must take note of, is get back into routine, get back to your budgets, and make sure that you live within your means.
Gary Feldman. Anybody who's interested in getting in touch with NMG Benefits, how can we reach you?
That is a very good question, and ultimately they can look at the NMG website. You just go nmg.coza, and all our services are listed there. Our contact numbers, we've got offices all around the country, and we are there more than happy to support both individuals and employers through the process.
Human capital, very important to invest in. Gary Feldman, thanks for your time. We'll chat to you soon again.
Thanks, Pat. Bye.
Appreciate it. Employers can play a critical role in easing employees into the new year. And whatever it is that you've got planned, I hope that you take your health in consideration as well and nail those goals. You are more than capable of it. But if you feel a bit under the weather, I hope that you've got an HR that can sort of give you an ear, and you can adjust back into space. nmg.co.za. I was going to use those radio codings again. I last learned them when I was a security officer. November Merry Golf. Yeah, I think that's how you say it. .co.za. There you go.